Let me bring in our think tank tonight. We take a look at this. Joining us tonight in Atlanta, criminal defense attorney Meg Strickler, back with us. Great to have you there. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, trial attorney, former prosecutor Leslie Ricard Chambers. Also with us in the ATL in Georgia, criminal defense attorney Michael Bixon. All right, Meg, do I need to play it for you again?
No.
What'd you hear?
But you know what's interesting? I did not, when I watched the video earlier, I did not hear the shower curtain. That changes everything. So that's fascinating. I literally thought, okay, somebody's coming, he'd already done it, and he's got to run and hide or something. But when you hear that shower curtain, that means he was planning on doing it. He was saying his goodbye video because he probably figured, well, you know, I'm going to go do this and I'll probably get arrested or whatnot. But this changes everything because I literally had a completely different perspective before you pointed out the shower curtain sound.
Leslie, did you hear a shower curtain?
I definitely heard a shower curtain. I've heard that shower curtain sound for 39 years, right? And so I don't think that that's something that any regular person could miss because if you're a juror and you're talking about talking to common people, it'll be so easy for them to conclude that, you know, that sound is definitely a shower curtain sound. The state has indicated that that he sort of gave the mother-in-law and his wife the element of surprise by at first hiding in the shower and then jumping out and eventually killing his wife. So, I mean, there you have it. The story's at the end of the video.
Michael Bixon, how does this change the case? Because from my perspective, if some attorney somewhere is trying to argue crime of passion, his wife is cheating on him, oh, slow down there. I mean, it seems like he already knows what he plans to do. And if you watch throughout the entire 4-minute video, there are many times where he's looking over, he's waiting for his victim to show up. He is planning, plotting, and premeditating this. That's what I would argue.
I actually think that this video is even worse than if it were just a straight-up confession after the fact. I mean, now they have intent, motive, plan. I mean, this is terrible for him because it's one thing to confess to it after the fact, but to actually lay out everything that's going to happen just before it happens. I mean, if this goes to a jury trial, that's it. I mean, if I was his actual defense attorney on this, I would do everything in my power to get rid of this video.
Well, they're not going to get it away from us. I'll tell you that. Let's take a listen to more of the video. And here's what I want you to think about as we watch this part. Is there any opportunity that when this video does get in front of a jury, if there's a trial, that they will feel sorry for this man? Let's take a look.
I love you so much. Please do something good with your life. Please do something really good, because you deserve a good life. And I don't know what else to say. I'm so sorry I don't have better words right now. I'm hurting so bad. I don't know what else to do anymore. I didn't do nothing wrong to her. I provided what I could. I've done what I could for her. I've done nothing but good for her. And I've treated y'all good. I've done good things for y'all. And I don't know what else to say.
I was waiting for him to say, I'm so sorry I don't have any real tears for you, but I can't squeeze any out right now. I saw nothing. I saw nothing, Michael. I saw no tears during that crying bit.
There's nothing good about this video for him. I mean, if I didn't make it abundantly clear before, absolutely nothing good for him. I mean, and you hear him talking about his children, but in what seems to be a minute or two later, he's killing their mother. I mean, if you did get any type of, you know, feelings from him for his children, you would think that he wouldn't be killing their mother in the next couple of minutes. But you don't really see that in the video. And furthermore, you see him sort of, you know, fretting about the way that he looks in the video, as if that matters in this sort of, you know, quasi-confession about what he's about to do. I mean, the whole thing is so bad.
Leslie, any chance that anyone feels bad for him if, in fact, his wife was cheating on him?
So absolutely not. But I think that he is clearly trying to draw on the empathies from the empathies of his children, right? Is shifting the blame or justifying why he is going to commit this murder in the next few minutes. And so we see him doing a couple of things. He's trying to make sure that at the end of the day that they see their mother as the bad guy and not him. And I also feel as though, if there was any opportunity for him to change his mind, he sort of talked his way through convincing himself that it was a good idea for him to proceed with this crime he was about to commit. He's done by saying he's done everything for her. He's taken care of her. And I believe that there was somewhere in the clip where he, talked about how they had this big age difference and that he should have known better. So look, I don't see an opportunity for him to seize any sympathy from anybody. The judge, the DA, any potential jurors, he's done.
Meg, we've covered so many cases through the years, right? And involving spousal murders, and it's, someone's cheating or whatever the issue is. Why are people so against just getting divorced?
Listen, there's a lot of family lawyers who make a living over that question, and I got nothing for you. It doesn't make any sense. The only thing I can think of with the 5 minutes of psychology I had in college is this guy is I. My hair's a mess. Oh, she did this to me. If she didn't mess with my emotions, this wouldn't have happened. I mean, this guy is off the charts narcissist. And there's nothing we can do. And I guess he thought in his brain that I got to end this. The court could do this. Oh, I couldn't certainly do divorce. I mean, that's all I got for you for an answer.
Yeah, while you were speaking, he was still trying to squeeze out a tear, and it still didn't come out. All right. We're going to continue to follow this one, folks, and we'll see where it goes from here in Texas. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the next big trial here on Court TV. Gavel-to-gavel coverage coming in a case out of Ohio involving a woman accused of luring her victim by a bogus pizza order. And who is this victim? Her husband's ex-girlfriend. Talk about that case next.
The facts surrounding that evening are that there was a phone call placed to the employer of the decedent, right? She worked at Domino's, is that correct?
That is correct, Judge.
Okay. And a call was made essentially ordering a pizza.
Yes.
And then the decedent, in accordance with her employment setting, delivered that pizza.
That's how it started. That simply, right? A phone call for a pizza. And that is now turned into a murder trial. It's the next big case here on Court TV. Things are supposed to start next week, and you'll have gavel-to-gavel coverage right here on your front row seat to justice. Obviously, with the small caveat that some trials, a lot of trials across the country, have been postponed and canceled, and sometimes it's last minute, things change, obviously, but we will keep an eye on this one, but we are expecting to cover it. So we want to talk about it tonight. Chanley Painter has more for us.
Ashley Biggs never made it home after her last scheduled pizza delivery the morning of June 21st, 2012. The next day, police found her battered body inside her car in a cornfield.
She was a sweet girl, a loving mother.
At the time, the Army veteran was locked in a bitter custody dispute with Chad Cobb over their 6-year-old daughter. Cobb pleaded guilty in 2013 to charges including aggravated murder, kidnapping, assault, and robbery for Biggs' death. But questions lingered about the alleged involvement of Erica Stefanko, Cobb's ex-wife. Questions that soon may be answered when Stefanko stands trial for Biggs' murder, with Cobb as the state star witness.
We are proceeding on a complicity theory on the case, so him indicating what he did would be important.
It was close to midnight, the end of Big's shift, when, according to prosecutors, Stefanko called in the pizza order using an unregistered cell phone.
He will be testifying that she placed the call, that she was with him when he bought, and they together went to Walmart, bought the minutes for that phone.
Biggs responded to an empty building in Akron, Ohio, where prosecutors say Cobb was waiting for her.
He transported Ashley Biggs, the victim in this case, in her own car. He took her to a very remote location, and Ms. Stefanko then picked him up.
When police showed up the next day, puddles of blood and drag marks littered the scene, along with taser weapon parts, cash, and coins. Police also discovered an earring resembling one that belonged to Biggs, but no sign of Biggs or her car.
The truth is going to come out about, the whole situation.
Cobb was an early suspect because of his fraught relationship with the victim. His daughter, now a teenager, might also be called to the witness stand.
She will be testifying in regards to what recollection she has of that memory, which is not a whole lot, but she does remember being in the vehicle with Ms. Stefanko, and she also recalls hearing the phone call to the pizza delivery.
The victim's family said they always suspected Stefanko was involved. Now they're looking forward to her reckoning in court.
We thought she got away with it. That's why she acted the way she did. But I'm sure glad they kept going for it.
Really an unbelievable story. And you talk about who the witnesses are going to be. The victim's daughter is going to testify. I think she's now 15 years old. And you've got her ex-husband, the convicted murderer, is also a key witness for the state in this one. Let's bring back in our think tank as we get ready for the next big trial here on Court TV. Michael, I'll start with you. You look at this case. Do you think that she has a defense here? Because the star witness is a convicted murderer.
Well, not just a convicted murderer, but it also sounds like they're going to try to bring his child into it. And I think the biggest looming issue over this case is the amount of time that has gone by. We're talking 8 years since this murder. And so if you're talking about the child coming in testifying, you have to ask what happened in these 8 years for her recollection, for her memory to suddenly come to and remember this phone call. And then as far as Chad Cobb, obviously we have issues that he's already taken a plea, didn't say anything before, but now he's willing to come forward. And so it's a question of, is he getting something for this? And if he is, what is that?
Meg, as you evaluate this case, how do you see this trial playing out? I mean, is this one that is going to be, a lot of obstacles for prosecutors because who they have to rely upon to prove this case?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a case that should go to trial. This is the kind of reason why we have a jury system. This is not a cut and dried case. Like you just said, you just heard from Michael, you have your star witness being a not credible witness. He has lots to gain. He probably is going to get some years shaved off from his sentence. And then you also have the child who is, going to be old enough now, but she wasn't then. So that's easy to say, we can discount that. But most importantly, this was 2012. We're trying the case in 2020. I would make sure I hammered that in. And the best part is when you try cases from the past year, past 2 years, past 3 years, we have all kinds of electronic evidence. Well, guess what? In 2012, my guess is they don't have a lot of direct evidence in this case because it's so old. And as a defense lawyer, I'm going to punch holes left and right and probably win.
Leslie, this is one where, it starts with a call for a pizza. And, you've got to prove that, I guess, the call was made. How difficult will it be to get a jury to convict someone for murder based upon a phone call for a pizza?
Well, I don't think that they will convict her based on that one piece of evidence. This is why the child testifying and Cobb himself testifying, flipping on her. That's why those additional elements are so important in this case, because it's not just about the call for the pizza, but it's about the nature of the call of the pizza, and to say why she ended up delivering to this I guess this doomed location, if you will. And so, if they're able to connect those dots, which I'm sure the state will be able to do, then I think that they'll be able to succeed in proving their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And yes, Cobb may have been given some type of agreement to maybe shed some years off his sentence, but I thought I read somewhere where the death penalty was initially on the table and maybe they had taken it off. I don't know if that's a part of this arrangement, but I mean, that's motivation for Cobb to definitely cooperate with the state to say, I didn't do this by myself. Not only did I not do this by myself, but my child was in the car with me the day that her mother was murdered.
All right, everyone, this is what I want you to do. Here's the question I want you to think about, is whether or not you think she might make a good witness in her own defense. Now, she did speak at a pretrial hearing last week. I know it's a small sample, but you'll get a little bit of the flavor of who she is. Let's take a listen.
Ms. Stefanko, have you been subject to quarantine at this time in the Summit County Jail?
Define quarantine, Your Honor. I would say yes. They do have protocols in place to ensure that any new inmates coming into the jail are quarantined before they are included into general population, and all staff wear masks at all times.
Okay. As far as you know, have you been told by any staff member at the jail that you've been exposed to COVID-19?
I have not.
Okay. You have not been told that, or you haven't been exposed?
I have not been told that I've been exposed to it, and to my knowledge, I have not been exposed to it.
Are you suffering any symptoms at this time?
No.
I realize it's a small sample, but what does your gut tell you? Leslie, I'll start with you. Do you think she would make a good witness on her own defense?
I don't. If she was my client, I would advise her probably not to. She comes across as being a know-it-all, and someone who's on trial for murder. Those individuals, those know-it-alls, don't tend to make good witnesses for themselves. I would even go as far as to think that her answers to the judge about quarantining and being exposed to COVID, the way that she responded, almost as if she's trying to take some type of control or sort of outsmart the judge, or to show the judge that she is just as smart as she is. Those types of people tend to be come across as masterminds of crimes. And so if I'm Cobb, that's probably the direction that his testimony is going to take, that she was the mastermind behind this crime.
You know, the way you were describing her, it almost sounded like, not tonight, but on some other nights, some of my think tank guests. Meg, not you three, not at all. Meg, what did you take away from that small sample of her and how she might present herself on a witness stand?
I actually would disagree with Leslie. I thought she came across as erudite. And what I would do is, when I'm trying a case, I don't know whether or not I'm going to have my client testify till that second. I mean, it's a last minute thing. So no matter how you shake it, you would want to prepare your client to understand the concepts and see how they would stand on direct and cross. But more importantly, in this context, one of my spins, forgive me for saying that, but one of my spins might be that she was abused by him, he was dominant. And remember, who gains by the loss of Ashley? Not Erica, it's the Mr. Cobb. So why would she be the one who's the mastermind? It's Mr. Cobb who's the mastermind, because he wants this baby mama to go away. And so in my feeling, we could probably figure out a way to lay that kind of thought process throughout the trial. And then when she testifies, she could give stories, or perhaps there's a police report from prior situations. Who knows? But that might be something I would look at. And she, at this 2 seconds we saw, she looked like a normal person to me.
Michael?
I fall somewhere between Leslie and Meg on this. I think that she is very well spoken. I do think she does come across as a little obnoxious. I think that's something, though, that with proper preparation and like reining in by her defense counsel, I think they could actually prepare her to take the witness stand if, that's what she wanted to do.
if she wanted to do. That's right. It's ultimately the client's decision, and you guys never convince them one way or the other. It's like, well, you can go, you can testify, and if you testify, this could happen. If you don't, that could happen, but I'm not telling you what to do. All right, when we come back, we'll take a look at a trial that is on the docket here on Court TV involving a student, 21 years old, and is waiting for a ride share, but unfortunately gets into the wrong car. On the docket tonight, a tragic story out of South Carolina. A 21-year-old young woman, Samantha Josephson is her name. And, you know, she's 21 years old. She's going out having fun, what you're supposed to be doing when you're 21. And she was doing it responsibly, you know, waiting for her ride share to go home. But when the ride share showed up, or what she thought was the ride share, she got into the wrong car. She ends up dead. And now investigators believe they know who did it. They've arrested him. Recently, there was a bond hearing, and it was probably the most emotional bond hearing I've ever seen. And it involves the family members, not only of the victim, who are they're absolutely heartbroken and devastated by this, but you also hear from the defendant's family as well. And you really understand by watching this how cases and stories and trials like this just tear people apart and devastate people. Let's take a look.
I was in shock and disbelief and numb. There are no words to describe the immense pain his actions have caused our family and friends. He brutally kidnapped and murdered my daughter, my baby. He locked her in the car without any way to escape and tore her apart. He stole my chance of even identifying her body in the morgue due to the amount of torture he put her through. Your Honor, I beg of you, I plead of you to deny bail.
No one deserves to lose their sister, daughter, or friend in the merciless way that I lost Sammy. No one deserves to constantly relive finding out that one sister was violently taken from them, and my mind constantly replays that moment when my dad called sobbing as my knees buckled under me and I fell to the floor. One way to prevent another person from this constant nightmare that is now our life is to ensure that this man remains incarcerated and without bail.
This monster kidnapped and brutally murdered the love of my life. It wasn't accidental, nor a product of panic. It was orchestrated and carried out by a truly evil human being. I ask you today, justice be served for my beloved Sammy. I ask that you deny his bond request as he is a danger to everyone around him. What will happen when his thirst to kill strikes again?
Judge, you would have loved her. She made everyone smile and laugh. This monster animal has taken Samantha Josephson away from all of us. To stab someone over 30 times and brutally kill a defensive 21-year-old non-threatening female is a monster, a danger to kill again.
Knowing him coming up and basically spending most of our time together, even after he left college, and the goals that he has set for himself, the things that he wants out of life, does not remotely come close to alleged charges that he's being accused of. We stand behind him 100% because we do believe that he is innocent. We do believe that he's not capable of even doing such what he's being accused of. We do ask the court for mercy. We do send our prayers to the family, and we can't remotely imagine what they're going through.
I'm the mother of Nathaniel Rowland, and like my oldest son has said, there's no way that he could have done this, what they're accusing him of. As a child, he loved everyone. He gets along with everyone. He do what he can for everyone. He's a very respectful man. And I can't see my child do anything like that, harm anyone. He never have harmed anyone. Never. And I thank you all so much for hearing me.
I've listened to everyone this morning, the officers, the state, the defense. This court makes a finding for purposes of this hearing that the defendant presents a danger to the community. And for that reason, the court denies the defendant's motion for bond at this time.
Motion denied. He is locked up, and now we're getting ready for this trial to take place. Let's bring back in our think tank. And this is a case where you look at the evidence, and you've got a surveillance video, the surveillance video showing her getting into a car. Prosecutors can put her in the car. They can tie the car to the defendant. Do you need more? Do you need more? And will the defense attempt to point the finger at someone else who was driving his car? And if so, wouldn't the jury have some expectations of the defense to actually present some evidence of who was driving his car, Meg?
No, remember, it's the defense that doesn't have to do a daggone thing. It's the prosecution that has to put on the trial.
Wait. I understand that.
Okay.
But we have already, in the prosecution case, all right, we're going to put in the evidence. We're going to get her in the car, right? We're going to get DNA in the car. We're going to establish that it's his car, okay? At that point, can't a jury push 2 and 2 together through some common sense?
No. My job is to shoot holes in your case, okay? So you have a car, sure. It looked like a Chevrolet Impala or something. You don't know that's his car. Now, I don't know all the evidence. Technology may be the killer here, where if there's camera angles at 15 different sides, you know, maybe at the gas station, maybe at the bar, maybe at the billiard club, who the heck knows?
Meg, let me stop you there. Let's say, because I believe what prosecutors can prove here is that is his car. She is getting into his car. We can't see who's driving it, but she is getting into his car. Okay. 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4.
Just like a speeding ticket with those red light cameras, you don't know who's actually driving the car. Remember, murder is a really strong charge. And so we don't know that is him driving. And more importantly, even if it was him driving, that doesn't mean he's the guy that stabbed her 30 times. And I want to point this out. Most cases when we have murders like this, 30 times stabbing is because you're peeved off at that person. And so there's a relationship. And so I'd hire my own private investigator, and I'd find out if there's anything going on in her life that may have had someone peeved off at her. Because the way you heard at that bond hearing, that family said he was innocent. And so maybe there's more going on here. And so as a defense attorney right now, it looks like there's some holes.
You know, Michael, if we're going to take that theory, then we're into the world of coincidences, because whoever had it in for Samantha would have had to have stolen the car from the fake Uber driver that she got into. She gets into a car thinking it's her rideshare. It's not. And then whoever was out to get her would then have to have taken the car from the defendant.
Well, we know there's blood and DNA in the car, so I don't think they're going to have much of a problem linking the murder and the crime scene to the car. The question is, who is driving the car? Now, does the defense have to show who is driving the car? No. They can sit back and they can, poke holes in the prosecution's case, but the reality is that the jurors are going to want to know who was driving the car. And if the defense's theory is that it wasn't him, they're going to want to know who. Because at the very least, he should know what happened to his car, whether it was reported stolen, whether he lent it to someone, what happened to it. And I think that's what the defense here is going to have to show. I think there are reasonable, explanations for everything else, but more than anything, they got to show who is driving the car. Now, what we don't know so far is were there any type of defensive wounds on him. And I think that's also another critical piece of this case that, so far as I know, is still unanswered. Because if you're talking something up close and personal, stabbing someone 30 times, you would imagine that there was some type of defensive wounds on the defendant. But as far as I know, there aren't. And I think that's another critical part of this case that so far remains unanswered.
All right, Leslie, I only have time for you to give me a one number. 0 to 10 as a prosecutor in this case. How confident are you? 10 being the most confident.
10 based on common sense.
All right. I love common sense. When we come back, folks, time to hear from the 13th juror. And a comment was made by 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse's mother. Kyle Rittenhouse, the one accused of being the Kenosha killer, taking the lives of 2 demonstrators during the riots there. We'll talk about what his mom had to say and what you had to say when we return. That's 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse in the streets of Kenosha during the riots in Wisconsin. They're firing the weapon, wounding one person, killing a second. This is after killing another demonstrator just moments before all of this. He is claiming self-defense, and that's what his defense is in this case. But his mother spoke to a newspaper in Chicago, and she's putting the blame on local officials and the governor and police for not controlling what was going on in Kenosha, for not stopping the riots and not protecting businesses. She says none of these rioters should be on the streets, and her son shouldn't have been on the streets as well, trying to protect businesses that should have been protected by law enforcement and local officials and the governor. So, posted all this today on social media and asked you, who's to blame for what happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin? Got incredible responses. We begin with our 13th juror comment of the day, coming from Bouger. I think I pronounced it right. The blames go to all that were unlawfully in the streets causing chaos. For the fool with the rifle, he needs to face murder charges. He went out of his way to another area looking to kill. Case closed. Leslie Ricard Chambers, do you see the defendant that way, 17 years old, that he went from Illinois to Wisconsin with the intent to go kill people?
Well, what I know is that his mother helped him get there, and so if she wants to start blaming folks, then she needs to take a look in the mirror and start with public enemy number one, which is who is her, and number two, she knew that he was traveling or that they were traveling with these assault rifles. I mean, he didn't go there to pray with these people. He went there with the intent to do exactly what he did. And, you know, it's unfortunate that this happened in Kenosha. And, you know, at the end of the day, she can try to avert blame to someone else, but charity starts at home.
I was just pointing out, though, they did not travel with the AR-15. And the allegations now are that the AR-15 was actually purchased in Wisconsin when he got there through someone else who has now been charged himself. I believe that's a 19-year-old. Tracy writes, Mom should never have driven him. Their son should have never had the rifle. Both should have stayed home. Now look where his life is headed, thinking he was the law. Meg, do you blame Mom?
145% I blame Mom. Why is he there? Issue one. Issue two is if you don't have a gun, nobody dies. I mean, that is plain and simple. But if he was home playing video games, watching TV, walking his dog, he'd be still living a normal life, a good life, and on a good road. Now he's got life in prison probably. I mean, or maybe even death penalty. I'm not sure what the charges will be ultimately because, you know, you never know with death penalty. But this is horrible. What is a 17-year-old child? He's a child. What is he doing out on the streets alone anyway? I mean, this is wrong. Why would you let your kid go out in the riots to begin with?
Charles writes tonight, everyone involved is to blame, starting with elected officials and leaders that allowed the mayhem to go on with no attempt to stop it for political reasons. I don't know the evidence, but from what I've seen, it appeared to be self-defense. Well, a big piece of the evidence is the video we just showed you. Michael Bixon, do you see self-defense here? He's on the ground and someone approaches and smacks him in the head with a skateboard. Is that going to be enough for self-defense?
The problem with these videos is that you're just seeing a brief portion of it from one angle. And unless you're talking about security camera, 360 degrees, the whole start to finish incident, But we're not talking about that here. Like most times when you see a video, it's just a brief clip. Now, do I see aspects of self-defense here? Yes. Do I think that he should have been put in that situation? No. Should he have been there in the first place? No. Should the riots been going on? No. So there's a whole lot of problems with this together. But again, when you're speaking just to the video itself, I don't think that we're necessarily seeing the whole thing here.
Henny tonight. Everyone but not the 17-year-old. They failed to do their jobs. Why are the rioters not being charged for this one? Let me ask you, Leslie, is this a tough one for the prosecution from this perspective? The response to this case is divided straight down political lines. You've got one side that sees self-defense, another side that sees murder. Wisconsin is pretty closely split, as we saw with the election. Do you think that's a problem for prosecutors? Because you're going to need 12 jurors to all agree what they see.
Well, I do agree with Michael that the video only shows us what it shows us, so we don't know the full picture. I would go as far as to think that a jury will have a lot more than what we've been able to be exposed to here in the media. But look, at the end of the day, we're talking about looking at the totality of the circumstances. Was the response to the assaults, I guess, that he's alleging was committed upon him, was his response to shooting these people with the rifle a reasonable response to defend himself?
Paul tonight, both are to blame. The law enforcers for not quelling the riots and the 17-year-old for unnecessarily taking a dangerous weapon to the hot spot. Okay. He's got the weapon. It's dangerous. He's claiming self-defense, Meg. Someone hits you in the head with a skateboard. You're on the ground. There's a mob coming at you. Can you shoot somebody?
I don't think so, at least in the state of Georgia. I only know what the law is with the level of accuracy here in Georgia. But the problem is there's this thing called level of force, and whacking you with the skateboard is not the same as pow, pow, pow with an assault rifle. So it wouldn't rise to self-defense. And I think that the video probably, when you cut it down frame by frame by frame, which we can't do here, with prosecution probably will, and blow up big pictures of freezing parts of the frames and show, this isn't going to work using an assault rifle. No way.
All right. Meg Strickler, Leslie Ricard Chambers, and Michael Bixon, always great to have you on the program. Come back soon. Really do appreciate it.